Proud to be part of the TalkSPORT Fan Network. TalkSPORT. Powered by fans.
And he goes free. He goes to get wide. Edge of the box. Volley. Yes! Great goal! What a hit from Arena! They've only got to do it again. Forest back in the lead. Revolved and gets White. Oh, what he's done! And the City ground goes ballistic. Forest are in the Premier League.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Red Side of the Trent as Forest run out 3-2 winners over bottom of the league Southampton, thanks to goals from Elliot Anderson, Callum Hudson-Odoi and Chris Wood, and no thanks to an absolutely crazy ending to the game to Anthony Taylor. But it's here to discuss all of that are Reece Lane, Christian Brown and Alex Oakes. How are we, fellas? Christian, I'll start with yourself. You all right?
Yeah, I think so. It's very, very strange. Obviously, I'm just trying to think. It's probably why we should do these pods really the day after, because I'm still furious. But
I think that was the whole point of it initially, wasn't it? Get our thoughts and
slept on it
calm down
for
a
a
little.
reason. But yeah, I mean, the bigger picture was that we won the game today. It didn't matter how we did it, by hook or by crook. And you know, as we've seen from City dismantling Ipswich today, it was hugely important that we won. And yeah, to be 6 points clear of fourth is huge, especially with the running we've got coming in. So yeah, we had to get a job done today, and despite a certain board man's efforts, managed to do that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Alex, how are you doing? How are you feeling after the game?
I echo Christian's thoughts. I've never come away from a game winning feeling like we've lost, but yeah, that sums up the refereeing performance today. But yeah, 3 points, and you know we roll on to this rough looking set of fixtures coming up, and yeah, see if the run can carry on.
Brilliant. Yeah, Reece, how are we? I mean, nearly a double quiz champion at the NAV, only to be beaten by a 90th minute winner.
Gutted. At least won one of the two, though. Yeah, probably same as the guys, really. Very strange feeling coming out of the ground because, you know, when you have calmed down a little bit, like Christian said, you know, it's another 3 points, it's another win. But just probably anger what I'd seen from the referee and obviously the Forest PTSD of doing it the bloody hard way. And if it wasn't for, you know, something what I love, which is a man on the post and on an iron, it would have been, yeah, it would have been a very different pod. Put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I thought it was only right to call this pod episode the Forest way, because it was the easy way to begin with going 3-0 up, but the hard way in terms of letting Southampton back up, and then the Forest way, which is somehow get there by hook or crook. But we'll get straight into it, guys. Alex, I'm going to start with yourself because you are our guest of honour today. First of all was the team. Ryan Yates coming out for Nico Dominguez. What was your thoughts when that team got released, and how did you think it was going to go about in this game?
Yeah, no, the thoughts on the team when I first saw it was exactly what I expected. I do sort of what I'd like to see on a match day during the week, and it was to a man the exact same 11. I think dropping Yates for Dominguez for this game was the right decision. It wasn't exactly a game you sort of need anyone in there to rough them up or get someone in the midfield riled up. Flynn Downs is his own worst enemy at doing that. But we'll get on to him later. I think Nuno sent out the team to do a professional job, and you know, come 45-minute mark, we realistically we were second half. We were looking at, is this going to be 5-6, 7-0? But yeah, it didn't turn out that way in the end, as the podcast's been titled "The Forest Way." But yeah, no, it's 3 points. That's all that matters. And yeah, to a man today, I think we were brilliant. But we'll get onto the subs a bit later on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Reece, I thought Southampton started off pretty brightly, but as Forest do, this season. As soon as we get an opportunity, we seem to take it. And I'm so happy for Elliot Anderson to score his first goal for the club and in the Premier League in a sense as well. And it was a great strike, great little flick round the corner from Morgan Gibbs-White. But what did you think of it from your end of the ground? Because all the goals at your end of the ground today, Christian, you proper missed out today, not going to the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, there was at right under the ground. I want to say I saw apart from the goal that should have been. But we'll talk about that later. Just Nico Williams thrown into it, quickly turned around the corner from Morgan Gibbs-White. That was a lovely little deft touch, and then Anderson's away. And he's surging towards goal. And at the point when he's about to shoot, you actually felt like their player was either just going to bring him down or kind of clip it away from him. But it generates some power, and it's an absolutely brilliant finish right into the corner. I don't think there's any chance for the goalkeeper personally, and you could see how much it meant to him. First goal for us, first ever goal in the Premier League, and he actually gets one at that end of the ground, doesn't he? Because he was probably harshly done by when he was at Newcastle not to score at that end. Obviously, the disallowed goal in the first season, we got back up. So, yeah, brilliant to see him get off the mark. And it was just a lovely goal all around, lovely touch from Gibbs-White, and the run and the finish, superb from Anderson.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Southampton responded pretty well, Christian, without really doing anything, which has been possibly the story of their season, where it's good build-up play, and then the final third, it lets them down a little bit. And as I said to Reece about Forest doing Forest things, if you don't punish us, we kind of will punish you. And it was really nice to see something that happened, obviously, with Bednarak getting the ball nicked away from him, and Callum Hudson-Odoi actually scoring in a different part of the goal for once.
Yeah, he's mixed it up a little bit. It felt like a Russell Martin goal for Southampton to concede. This stupid dilly-dallying it round from the back, a loose touch. Do you think back to our first season in the Prem? How many times we got done by letting players shoot from outside the box? If you lose the ball in that area, you're going to concede. And I think the pleasing aspect for me was that we were ruthless enough to do that. It was a great goal from Hudson-Odoi. He took it really well, and Wood deserves a lot of credit as well for being Johnny on the spot to sort of nick that ball away and just feed it into his path. It's gone down to an assist for Woods. It's obviously not quite the conventional assist, if you like. Bear in mind, Hudson-Odoi's dribbled round someone and then rattled it bottom corner. But hey, it all counts for my FPL, so I'm very happy. And great strike from Hudson-Odoi. And obviously the overarching thing now is that hoping that he's okay. I know he put out that tweet saying hopefully it's nothing too serious. Obviously he had to go off. But yeah, really, really good goal. And to be honest, I mean, I felt, not to get complacent, the way I feel with Forest at the minute, and I think this is why obviously we'll come on to it later, why the sort of collapse towards the end was so unorthodox, because now, if Forest go a goal up, I look at the team and think, we aren't going to concede 2 goals. Doesn't matter who we're playing against. We are just that strong defensively and that sort of organised. So at that point, I was like, yeah, well, home and home to see how many we can get hold of here, and obviously that boost the goal difference up a bit. And they're even saying at half time, weren't they? It's like, oh, if Forest get 10, 11 more goals, they'll go joint second with Arsenal. And the way they're playing in a minute, they might well do that. But yeah, a really good goal from Hudson-Odoi. Good to show him do something different as well. And yeah, happy as Larry.
Yeah, before I get on to Wood's goal, I do want to talk to all of you, because it's mainly Alex and Reece, especially because you were both at the end of the ground when this incident happened. Christian, you'd have obviously got some replays watching it from home or wherever. But Alex, I'll start with yourself. The challenge from Flynn Downs on Morgan Gibbs-White, which potentially should have been a red card if VAR actually helped Anthony Taylor out there. I mean, I don't know how Anthony Taylor or his linesman have not helped him out either, to be honest, on field, but gives a yellow card. I mean, what was your thoughts when you first saw that?
I assume you're referring to the elbow incident rather than the one that he should have booked for 5 minutes earlier, where he's gone in left and he's caught nothing but his ankle.
Yeah.
I don't know why VAR's not intervened, or at least they might have checked it and seen something different. But to me, Downs come in full steam, leading with his elbow. He's quite clearly frustrated because, let's be honest, Morgan was taking the mick out of the 2 players that were pressing him, and he was going to get away without without Flynn Downs sort of wiping him out by hook or by crook. it was right in front of us, and it looked like he's led completely with his elbow, and everyone around us were sort of we're going apoplectic. But it's hard to say, obviously, without being. I mean, the best view would have been from the away end. But yeah, it looked like a red card to me, sort of there and then. But what? Honestly, with Anthony Taylor, I don't know what else can you do. Red card for me, but obviously I've got red tinted glasses on. I'd expect one of our players to go if they did that to one of their players. But yeah, no, he was walking a tightrope all afternoon, Downs. But we knew that he's got to be the best banker for a card in the league. He's the thug that people think Yates is. Yates is just a niggly little foul, sort of petty midfielder. But Downs, yeah, should have gone for me. But yeah, without seeing a proper actual VAR sort of view of it, which I don't think happened, we're never going to know.
But it's like what you just said. I mean, he should have got booked for a tackle way before that as well, which was warranted a yellow card. Reece, what did you make of that as well?
Yeah, I think it's the one before what's really annoying, because that is just a blatant yellow card, and then he's on a yellow, and if he does that, he's off, isn't he? Obviously, I've only seen it. It was my end of the ground, so probably similar view to Alex. Of you can only see what you see at the time. I've not seen a replay knocking about on anything really. So yeah, it was probably definitely in the amber category, wasn't it? But at the least, but the issue for me was, like I said, he should have been on a yellow before that, and there was absolutely no surprise that their manager dragged him off at half time. And to be honest, he was at 2-0. He was probably the only one actually willing for them to get, kick people, you know what I mean? So it just showed you that even his manager thought he was a walking red card. That's why he dragged him off. So yeah, just like Alex said, what do you expect from Anthony Taylor? Just a terrible referee. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, and just last of all, Christian, because you're our VAR for the game. I mean, you must have got a few replays and a few comments from commentators or whatever. But I mean, to maybe start the blood boiling from Anthony Taylor. I mean, what did you think of that decision?
It was just laughable. I mean, I think again, like Reece touched upon, the issue is really he should have been booked flat talent. That was the easiest yellow card he could have given all game. He's flown in late. He's got nothing in the ball. He just wipes out Gibbs White's ankles instead of sprawling. Doesn't matter what minute that's in. Doesn't matter if it's 10 seconds on the clock or whenever in the game. It's a yellow card. But he doesn't do it because it has to be all about him, doesn't it? And yeah, even when it comes down to that the incident, the elbow, he could have seen red for that. But he doesn't even try to play the ball. He just looks. His elbow is literally up like that and just jumps straight into Gibbs White. It's really bad. Yeah, Paul Robinson was on co-coms from when I was watching it in Zanzibar or wherever I was, and yeah, he was in shock. He was like, he said he's very, very lucky, Downs, that he's not been sent off just for that alone. He said, let alone for the yellow he should have got beforehand. But of course, the only person in that ground who wasn't on the take just happened to be the referee. So it is what it is. It should have been a red card, and really, it's strange because in a parallel universe, Forest have won this game at least 4-1. And they've gone out to 9 men potentially. But here we are, sat 3-2, kind of worrying about a late implosion and talking about the worst referee in the land. So we're talking about, I generally think he's gone beyond Oliver Langford, Stuart Atwell. He is in that category of just appallingly bad officials. Every single time he seems to be our referee, something happens. And he's always at the heart of it. He's always at it. It was the same at the Euros. It was the same at the Europa League final. It was the same wherever he's gone. There's the reason why the Roma fans chase him out of the bloody country, because he's just so appallingly bad at his job. I said it in our group chat before the game. I said that if this guy's reffing it, we're going to have big trouble. He'll do whatever he can to throw the result against us. It's like you're even seeing like that. What's it? Should this goal have stood, or has VAR made an error? Twitter account, even that was completely neutral, and just get this guy off Forest games. It's becoming a laughing stock. So it isn't just us being red tinted spectacles. The whole rest of the country can see that whenever Anthony Taylor's a Forest game, it's going to be chaos. He's just not fit to referee. He's an absolute disgrace of profession.
Yeah, I mean, we'll move on because Forest did go 3-0 up, Alex. Great ball in from Ola Aina, and Chris Wood scored. Just, I didn't think it was a great cross at the time, but Chris Wood made it look a good cross, didn't he?
Oh, it's a great finish. I mean, he's a lot further out than I thought he was. I thought he was sort of on the edge of the 16-yard box, but he's actually closer to the penalty spot. And to sort of generate the power and to guide a header past the goalkeeper from that sort of range and angle, the way he's sort of facing almost away from the goal. It's a great finish, and he's just showing that he has every single kind of finish in his locker. You could look at our last 4 games and he will show you every type of finish you could possibly think of. You got the chip and lob over Pickford against Everton, the header today, the finish against Alisson midweek. You know, he's the complete number 9. And I saw a Palace fan tweet a poll about who people would rather have, Mateta or Wood. And there's people actually in the comments that have clearly never watched him, because they're saying, "Oh, Wood's a target man, but if you need someone who's actually good with his feet, you want Mateta in there. He's the more complete number 9." Nonsense, absolute. I'm thinking of a word with I'm thinking of a word beginning with B. That I can't say because I'll keep it clean. But yeah, he's just exactly what we need at this moment in time, and it's a clinical goal scorer that's going to take 90% of the chances that's given to him. I think he scored nearly 50% of his shots on target this season. And yeah, the way we play, it's sort of back to front very, very quickly. And yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's ending with Wood scoring a goal.
Yeah, he's just been so good. 14 goals this season. He's gets another one. It's his best Premier League season. I'd be disappointed if he actually doesn't get to 20. Reece 3-0 at half time. I mean, just before I get into the goal that gets Southampton back into it, I mean, what did you think at half time? Because I generally thought it could have been a cricket score the way it was going.
End of the day, you expected them to come out with a kick up the arse, let's be honest. And then if they do get one early doors, which out of absolutely nothing, as we're going to talk about in a minute, you think the Forest PTSD kicks in and they think, oh, well, they've got nothing to lose, have they? They're 3-0 down, the bottom of the league, they get a goal back out of nothing, and then it's like, well, we'll have a go. And to be fair, the sides, you know, like they started all right, and then between the first and the second goal, they were okay. They weren't like this team who couldn't string 2 passes together. They were actually knocking it around all right. You know, I mean, midweek against United, they apparently played well for 75 minutes and just completely collapsed like they did first half against us. So, yeah, you can't be complacent, can you? I just thought, you know, if we could have got, it was one of them where if they got one back as they did, you thought it was going to be game on, but you thought if we got a 4th and made it 4-0, it would have probably ended up like 6-0 then. And to be fair, the one where, you know, Ramsdale actually did make a decent save from a Langer download into, and Gibbs White just can't quite get the power and to make it 4-0. If that had gone in, then yeah, we would have run away with it, in my opinion. But, you know, the goal gave them hope, which it did.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a bit of a lucky goal because I think the initial effort from Ugachuk was going probably wide, and then obviously Bednarek's just suck a leg out. I mean, I don't know if you've managed to watch the replay, but it's so tight. And I mean, if like arms are given as offside for us, I mean, it could have been given offside today. But I mean, fair play to Southampton, they kept it going. But I don't even think it was a foul initially anyway. I don't even remember what the foul was given for, to be honest. But yeah, it's a lucky goal, but you kind of need that sometimes, especially when you're at the bottom of the league.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah. I mean, surprisingly, it's a surprising goal, really, that they've had that luck being bottom of the league, and we're obviously flying high. Usually, that's one that loops off and hits the bar or something. You know what I mean? So, but it was just a shot to nothing, wasn't it, by Ugachukwu, and it's hit Bednarek and it's looped in. There's just nothing no one could have really done about that.
Yeah. I mean, Christian, amazing response from Forest as we go down the left wing, win a free kick. And this is where it starts to get interesting, because I have never seen a referee go to a screen for an offside call. Obviously, Anthony Taylor has got to make it all about him. I mean, I don't know if you've seen on the screen of Forest fans waving wallets and stuff at him or whatever it was. And I'm in the kind of camp where I actually think any VAR decision does go. I do think a referee should go to a monitor straight away and be the person who is leading the kind of discussion anyway, because at the end of the day, it should be their decision, not someone who's in a box in Stockley Park at the end of the day. But this is an absolute farce, isn't it? This decision, because Milenkovic has headed the ball in, and he's headed the ball at Ramsdale, who's caught the ball and then threw it in his own goal, and Wood is nowhere near impacting play. So I don't understand how this gets given.
Because Anthony Taylor want us to lose. What other reason do you have? The bloke's got a clear agenda against us. There's no other way around it. It's not even tin hat foil like Matt Letizia sort of conspiracy theory either. The bloke clearly has it in for us. There's no logical reason why that goal's been disallowed. I'm sorry, there isn't. And what you said is actually a very good point, because offside is offside. It's black or white. It's one of the few things in football like that is black or white. It's like goal line technology. It either is or it isn't. So why are they getting him to check that? Surely they should be saying to him, "Oh yeah, he's off. He's interfering. That's it. Sorry." If that happens, if he gets a call from above and they give it, you think, okay, that's contentious, but fair enough. The fact he's actually looked at that and still gone, "Oh yeah, it's offside." The centre back's 5 yards away from Milenkovic. Doesn't matter what Wood's doing. He's not impacting the play whatsoever. Not one single Southampton player, once that ball goes in, or once Ramsdale throws it in even, not one single Southampton player can test it. I was looking at a goalkeeper like, what the hell have you done? And just turn around and get ready to kick off again. No one's got their hand up for offside. No one's appealing whatsoever. It just seemed like any chance, Forest's going to run away with this. Let's just allow that. I generally, my head is completely gone at that. I've never in my life, even Atwell, in his numerous occasions, Atwell on VAR against Everton last season, Atwell at Bournemouth, was more of official that day, what cost us sort of promotion when my flagging bloody planes for that penalty that was eventually overruled for offsides. Atwell at Old Trafford when Warren gets sent off for not being last man, for apparently a last man challenge, and then they get a penalty because Rashford dives over the Nillo. This is probably up there with the cream of the crop. We haven't even mentioned the fact that he gave a foul against Gibbs White in the first half for a player bloody slipping over. There was it wasn't within 2 yards of him. I just don't. At what point does the club go put a complaint in against him? Seriously, because every single time we get him, it's just controversy. It's just chaos. He can't do his job properly. There's no way around it. And that goal, it should be a goal. That incident just highlights that completely. I don't know. I don't know what you thought of it at the time. I don't know what you boys thought of it in the grounds. There's no logical reason for that goal to be disallowed. I'm sorry, there just isn't. Like, it doesn't matter what replay they showed. Again, the co-coms weren't exactly helping. They were like, "That's a goal." Paul Robinson was a goalkeeper for bloody played 41 odd games for England, and he said that's a goal. He said that's not offside. The keeper should be better. But no, according to Anthony Taylor, it's not. So
it just looked like they were disallowing it for the sake of it. That's right up there. The one that Christian missed, and I'm glad he missed it because the one I wrote down, the Bolly red card against Bournemouth, it's right up there with that. I just don't see why that's been disallowed. You know, Ramsdale made an absolute horlicks of it. He bundled it into the net. You know what I mean? And Christian hit it spot on. Not one Southampton player, even Ramsdale, who made a hash of it, like I just said, complained. And yet we're just disallowing a goal for the barely anything. I just find that bizarre. And to be honest, after that, the game descended into absolute chaos. And it suited one team, and that was them, because they think, bloody hell, we've just scored a goal out of absolutely nothing. We've had a goal wrongly chalked off for nothing. Let's just have more and more of a go at this. And that's what proved to happen. It was, he was awful referee performance, to be honest.
I know obviously we've obviously won the game. That's the main thing. If I'm Marinakis, if I'm part of the club hierarchy, I'm asking the Premier League for a statement about that. I'm asking for clarification, because that's just ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous how that goal's been disallowed.
Go on, Alex.
I think Christian pretty much just echoed what I just said. They have to take that higher, surely. Not just that one decision. The fact Christian raised the point that Fernandez has fallen over his own feet with Morgan Gibbs-White 2 yards to the side of him. He's given a foul. Like, he hasn't seen it. How are you given a foul that you haven't seen? You haven't witnessed anything, and you're just making decisions up completely on the spot. But we haven't been involved referee-wise with Stuart Atwell since that day at Goodison Park. There has to be something with Anthony Taylor, because it isn't just us either. I've got friends that are Chelsea fans that have exactly the same thoughts, that messaged me saying, "Oh, I see Anthony Taylor's messed you up again." And it's like, it's not just us. I mean, he's awful every time he referees us, but Chelsea as well. Dreadful. He's just a dreadful referee. Like, my head, honestly, is steaming with how I don't understand the refereeing body in this country deem him the best / the second best official in the country. How? There have been so many referees this season. I've walked away, even losing games. Like the one against Arsenal, I thought, yeah, referee was fine. Yeah, next to nothing to do. That's fine. People say, oh, the referees are great when you're winning games, but all of a sudden they're bad when you lose games. No, that's not the point. It's like we've had so many decent referees this season. Off the top of my head, Peter Banks was brilliant when he refed us a few weeks ago. I think it was a home game that we won. But again, walked away from that going, yeah, he had a really good performance for both teams. I've never walked away from a game thinking Anthony Taylor had a really good performance there and he hasn't sort of affected the result in any way, shape or form. Like you said, and I reiterated on Twitter, I've never, ever seen a referee go to the monitor for an offside decision. You're offside or you're onside. That's it. A qualified trained referee in a room can look at that and go, right, he's offside, no problem. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he's offside. Right, no problem. Play resumes. We have a look on the replay and we go, all right, yeah, whatever. But he's not offside. I don't understand it. He's impacting Milenkovic. He's almost barging into Milenkovic's back when he nods the header in. That's all.
Someone hit it on the head as well on Twitter. The VAR ref shouldn't get away with it as well, because he should not be advising to go to the screen there. There's nothing in that at all. And it's shocking from him. That, like I said, he's just disallowing goals for the sake of it. You know, VAR was meant to be brought in for clear and obvious error. There's nothing in that at all. It's just disallowing it for the sake of it.
I just can't believe.
Sorry, Adam. I'll say again. Not to touch what Alex just said there. If we're saying, I've said this pod before many, many times, if we're saying Anthony Taylor is the top 1% of referees in the UK, then we have the worst officials in the world. There is no doubt about it, because he's abject. He would not get a Sunday League game in Germany the way he refs. He wouldn't. And also another thing, if you look at the Champions League, and we all watch Champions League, don't we? Maybe not with a new format. I know it's been controversial with some. We might be watching it a lot more next year. Who knows? But I can't tell you the name of any Spanish referees, any German referees, any Serbian referees, any Italian referees, apart from Kalina, who was the face of PES 3 back in the day. But I can't tell you their names. Why do we know Anthony Taylor's name so much? Why do we know all the English referees' names so much? Because they're constantly in the headlines for being terrible at their job. It's honestly, I've ripped PGML up and just start it again. It is an absolute farce.
Yeah, I mean, it happened straight in front of me, and I think, Milenkovic couldn't believe the ball had gone in. I think Ramsdale, like you said, Reece, didn't make a fuss of it. None of the players really made a fuss of it until Taylor put his finger up to his ear like he's some sort of MI5 agent, and then Bednarak's in his ear, and it was a farce. And the fact that Forest put it up, I know you, Reece and Alex, you wouldn't see it because I was in the Trent end today. They actually put up the reason on the screen to give everyone a clarification of why it's happened, and it was still rubbish. And I mean, Taylor lost control from the get-go, because he should have gave bookings to a number of players, including obviously Flynn Downs. He eventually gave one to Kyle Walker-Peters, and he should have gone later on, because he's tried to haul Nico Williams down, and because Nico Williams is an honest lad, stayed on his feet and carried on the attack. So for me, that's happened millions of times in football, where the players carried on the attack and the referee has still booked a player. Kyle Walker-Peters should have gone as well for a second yellow card. And Taylor lost it. I mean,
Lee was saying it about being a favourable advantage, isn't it? So they kind of don't do it anymore. This is the problem. The laws change, don't they, all the time? And we can't, as fans, you can't keep, even the referees can't keep up to date with them. So what chance have fans got? And just to wrap this little segment up, don't anyone ever compare Aaron Ramsdale to Sir Jordan Pickford ever again. Not in the same league for England.
I mean, it was an absolute shocker, and I think, and it was annoying because I actually thought Morgan Gibbs-White, especially, and Nico Dominguez, and a few of the other players got really fired up by this, and we should have probably killed off Southampton anyway, and we didn't. And I did think Nuno got substitutions a little wrong in some cases. I mean, we might talk about that a little bit, but I mean, Alex, they had, 12 minutes. I don't know where that come from, but as soon as that board went up, I mean, Southampton have a corner, and I mean, second game in a row where we've conceded from a corner. I mean, it's a great whip, but you can't let a 6'8", 6'7" however tall he is, Paul Oniachu, have a free header at goal and no one challenge him, can you?
No, I mean that's his first goal in the Premier League. I think he signed for them either 2 or 3 years ago. He got shipped out on loan while they were in the Championship, and he let's be real, he's a complete donkey. He is what people seem to think Taiwo is, but yeah, it's not great. But having said that, I did expect. I said to the lad who I sit next to, I said we'll have 11 minutes. So there was the Murillo injury, the Sells injury, the Southampton goal, and the substitutions before that. I was expecting 10, 11 minutes anyway. So I've not really got much against that. It's just the manner of goals that we conceded. Like you said, a set piece again for the second set piece conceded this week. It's not great, but again, Nuno would have them rectifying that in training this coming week. So the same aren't repeated. The same mistakes aren't repeated next week. Poor goal to concede, and an awful time really as well. Because if that goal comes sort of, 6 minutes into added time, you're on the edge of your seat, but you're sort of like, we've only got to see out 6 minutes. No, we've got nearly a quarter of an hour to see out after that. And one goal, and honestly, the amount of head implosions that would have been in and around the ground would have been ridiculous. But ultimately it means nothing, because we've still walked out with 3 points. But a poor goal to concede nonetheless. Their first goal was just one of those. He's had a shot to nothing, and it's just bounced over Sells. There's nothing really that the goalkeeper can do for either of those goals. But yeah, having a bloke that's 6'7", sort of just aimlessly wander in the box and then plant a header past Matt Sells isn't good enough defensively.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, Reese, another corner that came in, and we did have a man on the back post, as you said, I think in the chat. That's why you have him. Olarena's cleared another one off the line this week. I mean, best right back in Premier League,
and not just cleared it off the line, mate, at full stretch to clear it off the line. That is one hell of a clearance with the pressure and the timing of the game. It's not like he stood on the post, is it? And it's just bounced at his feet. Oh God. I mean, the last, like Alex just said, as soon as he got out their goal and he had 10 minutes still to have a go, the nervousness from the crowd, I think the players look nervy. The second goal as well, Morato just lets the big guy peel off him. And then if you look for the next corner, he's marking him tight because he knows you thought he's the big threat, and he's a big guy. Obviously, when he come on, people were like laughing behind us because he's gigantic, isn't he? He wouldn't even really have to jump to obviously head it above some defenders. So, just relief, mate. At the end, it was very, very strange at the end because I think there was a lot of anger, probably because of how the game had gone due to the referee and also due to us, being complacent. There's no doubt about that as well. The subs, the little batch of subs on the 83rd minute, what come on? Taiwo was just... it's just nothing, was he? I mean, Yatesy come on, very, very disappointing from him. I thought he just did, for someone who, like Alex said earlier, is usually a niggler, didn't seem to want to put a foot in. I don't know whether that's a bit of complacency from the team because it was 3-1 up at that point against bottom of the league. But yeah, it made a bloody nervous last 10 minutes. And Jesus, it would have been the Forest of old that back in the day, we would have imploded and drew or even lost that game. I guess this is the new Forest now that we by hook or crook managed to grind it out. And like the lads have said, in the end, it's about the 3 points and we've got it. So once we've all calmed down, had a night's sleep, we could all probably reflect on it, come, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday and think, yeah, another 3 points on the board. It's opened up some little gaps for us to like the likes of Newcastle, to the team who we face next week in Bournemouth, which will be a very tough game. And yeah, we can draw a line for it and move on. But yeah, I didn't like the last 10 minutes. Oh, I think Adam's frozen, isn't he?
Adam may well have frozen. Yeah.
Yeah, he's back. Oh, he's back.
Sorry, guys. I'm back. Stream. I'm back. Audio listeners.
Strong, yeah.
I'm sorry. It's the hamster wheel's not running. Yeah, I'm back stronger. Yeah, no, I mean, it almost gave us like Norwich 3-3 vibes of Gil Diaz, wasn't it, and that sort of thing. But I mean, it would have been topped off if Murillo had got a shot away right at the last minute. I mean, that would have been some goal, wouldn't it, Christian? I mean, that was absolute craziness.
It would have been amazing. Yeah, it was. Again, it was strange because I felt that with of the subs, Sosa I didn't think was too bad. I think he didn't really get much time to sort of do a lot, but I was saying to Dad watching it, I was like, it'll be him or Taiwo that sort of breaks away to sort of get us up the pitch for a counter attack. But no, it turned out to be Murillo instead. Yeah, it would have been sensational when he managed to just find that little bit of energy. But I suppose after 105 minutes or so of football, including the first half stoppage time, I'm maybe not surprised it didn't quite get there at the end. But no, incredible shift. It was just very concerning the way we folded. I think Reece is right. I think in some ways as well, it might not be the worst thing in the world, as crazy as that sounds. It sort of boots out any complacency or anything like that. And you were right, Reece. We would have lost that. We saw what happened last year. It was a Luton game, and I know I don't want to be too controversial because it's just not really worth opening that can of worms. Ryan Yates was Gil Diaz v Norwich levels of bad when he came on. He was awful, as was Taiwo. He was awful. And it's the first time this season. Jota Silva, to be honest, I thought wasn't great today. I thought he was quite poor in a team that we were coasting for a fair while. A game he was on, I just didn't see it from him today. It was the first time this season where I thought, our depth actually isn't that good. And I suppose to come 22 games into the season and have that realization is actually quite good going. But I do wonder if the club will maybe act in January, because you're now looking at, whereas before at the start of the window, or even last week, and obviously football was very reactive. And again, we're saying it's a few hours after kickoff, after full time. Sorry, once we go to sleep, it might be a very different story entirely. But you're potentially going into January now. This time yesterday, you were thinking, if we get through it, if we've got, that's the most important thing. Maybe one change if we can up front and see what happens with the Tyro situation. Now you're going into tomorrow and you're thinking, all right, okay, we probably another winger, another striker, potentially another midfielder as well, depending on how Sangare and Danilo are when they come back. So it's quite a bit of a shock to see Forest again, and also frailties from last year rearing their head again. Set pieces. I think that's 3 in 2 games now we've let in, which having gone 20 odd games and we conceded from 2. So it's I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing in the world that we actually had this sort of scare, because I reckon Nuno will probably have them in for training tomorrow and be like, that wasn't good enough. How that game ended was not good enough, and we're gonna make sure it doesn't happen again. And really, it needs to not happen again, especially with what we've got coming up. Was it Bournemouth away, Newcastle away, Fulham away, Arsenal at home, City at home? That's going to be a make or break. Yeah, that run's going to make or break our season. If we're going to be a top 4 side or not, that'll be what determines it. So we can't be going into the most important part of a game playing like that, because it just won't happen. It just can't happen.
I am a little bit more relaxed because I've said this throughout this run. If we get into any European place, I know we're joint second on points at the minute, but if we get into any European place and even if there's a little bit of drop off, whether that could be Europa or Conference League, I'll be over the moon from the start of the season, because it's a dream for me to see Forest in Europe, whatever competition. But I agree with Christian there on the complacency thing. Like, we're obviously on this brilliant run. It's 9 unbeaten in all competitions, 8 in the Prem, but that little like last period of the game was a little bit complacent, and that's a good thing in my opinion that we've got through it. And then Nuno can probably give him a kick up the backside and say, look, that don't happen again, lads. And like Christian said, we're into a run of games now where, against teams in and around us. And, we can't do that against them type of sides because they will punish you. But, I'm looking forward to this run again. We said, didn't we, before that we had that really tough run in December, and look how that panned out. So we'll go to Bournemouth next Saturday and we'll go there and give them a game. And it wouldn't surprise me if we come away even with 3 points, because that we proved we can do that. Just finally touch, I just hope the Hudson-Odoi injury isn't anything major, because, it looked like he was holding his groin. It might just be a bit of a stiff one on a cold day, but we need him because, I think him and Elanga are the two first choice wingers without shadow of doubt, so we need him fit.
Yeah, I mean, Christian mentioned that he'd put out a thing on Twitter saying hopefully it's not too bad. So hopefully it was a precaution because it was 2-0 up. And I mean, I think, Christian, what you're saying about depth comes because of how well we're doing now this season. Joe, if you're a mid-table side, you go, yeah, they're all right because they'll probably get more game time. But because we're doing so well, the mentality shifts and the goalposts move. So I completely understand where you're coming from. I think this is why we've been linked with people like Marcus Edwards and Yilmaz of Galatasaray, because they might be a little bit of a step up. It's just whether what room and wiggle room we've got to do in this transfer window. But
to be fair, I think a lot of fans would probably actively want to replace Taro regardless of what's happened today. I think that's fair. I think a lot of fans as well also would have probably looked at a left-footed right winger. That's something I mentioned in the summer. So, they're the little tweaks, what we might need. We don't need to go overboard. I think the club will be actively looking for a striker regardless. And that left-footed right winger, I think, will be being looked at as well. And then it obviously depends on, Danilo and Sangare, because they're both back in training there. But, you'd like to think, really, ideally, they both get a good run out to Exeter in the Cup in a few weeks' time. So, and then we can kind of judge it from there. The club will know with them because they'll know how far they are down the line, and you just got to leave it to them and trust them because, like we said, the recruitment's been pretty bang on this season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're going to get into your slept on it thoughts now.
Red side of the Trent. Slept on it thoughts.
Bit of an ironic one as we're doing one after the game today, post-match. So it's not quite slept on it thoughts. It's more of a how angry are you after Anthony Taylor has tried to kill us off, particularly. Premier Elliott, that was a rather odd game, but words cannot describe how grateful I am to Ola Aina for that clearance off the line late on in the game. Today's facts are two Cornish pasty museums in the world. The main one is in Mexico. Very good as always, Elliot. NFFC Bod, a great first half. We built up a good cushion of 3 goals. Who knew we were going to need it? So a strange second half of a battling Southampton. Anthony Taylor missing fouls and striking out goals. In the end, Southampton's desire was exhausted and Forest took all 3 points. You Reds. Capanosity. For 60-odd minutes, I was tempted to use the word no Forest fan should ever say lightly. Routine. I should have known that this game was tailor-made for some mischief, and he duly obliged. Maybe the mental and physical toll of Liverpool was also a factor. Let's give Southampton credit who played Thursday night and actually played tonight. I mean, fair play to their fans as well. Actually, they actually made some noise considering how bad they've been this season. Grant Fellows, Anthony Taylor nearly got Southampton something out of that. Probably their best player, despite the officials. They got the job done. On to Bournemouth. Sarah NFFC, a nervy 3 points, which was due to our 4th goal being chalked off. Explain how Wood could be obstructing when the goalkeeper dropped it in. Luckily, this Forest team don't cave in. Mark Baker, I feel sorry for the players, did everything right for the result, but made much harder by the worst referee in the world. Taylor's ineptitude made that game far closer than it should be. Definitely need another backup striker and winger to push on and being greedy, a big pacey centre midfielder. Frank the Tank, we need signings for the Champions League push. Bench is not good enough, afraid to say. Ben, 3 points in end, all that matters, but Taylor made all my days. From Downs not getting a yellow on Morgan Gibbs White, a foul worse than Morgan Gibbs White versus Brighton. Downs not getting a straight red for elbow on Morgan Gibbs White, second yellow at least if first given. Morgan Gibbs White, mystery foul, 4th goal ruled out for no reason, horrific. Adrian Warren, wonderful 3 points, but a woeful way to see the game out. The referee is stealing a living and would be sacked if he works for a competent boss. Howard Webb should be sacked along with Taylor. Jazz, we hated that ref as much as you. So he's a Southampton fan, which is quite funny. I mean, I didn't Clough used to say about if the sacking managers, the chairman should go as well back in the day, which I found always quite funny. But we're going to get into some player performances, guys. Alex, I'm going to start with yourself. I'm going to give you Morgan Gibbs White.
Awesome. I had two main men in the back of my mind for man of the match today, and that was Morgan and Nico. I did edge with Nico in the end. However, Morgan in that first half, he absolutely ran the show. Sort of as you'd expect against a relegation threatened side. I thought he was brilliant. Let me pull some bits up. So he's won 100% of his tackles. He's won 70% of his ground duels and won half his aerial duels. Was fouled 6 times and committed 1 foul. There's not really much more you can say about him. He's walked away with an assist. But second half, I think he dropped off, but so did most other Forest players on the pitch. Come sort of the 55th, 60th minute, they chucked the extra body in there, didn't they? They brought on Ogachukwu, who we noticed was following him around like an absolute shadow. So it's sort of hardly surprising that he was a little bit quieter in the second. But no, I think Morgan will walk away with that, thinking it's another routine afternoon of football. And yeah, very, very good, I think.
Yeah, he's really contributing at the moment. I think that's like 7 or 8 contributions in his last 6-7 games, maybe, or something like that. So it's really good to see him racking up the numbers. And then with this clutch of 6 games coming, which are where you're going to need him to produce goals and assists in, he's in a really good vein of form, as are several players. Reece, I'm going to give you Nico Williams, who I thought was unbelievable yet again. I mean, I thought in injury time he was even better. the lad just keeps winning phrase after phrase, it seems.
Yeah, he seems to have, like we've said, I think for the last few weeks now, seems to find that position at left back. I think every game he's had at left back, he's been at the very least a 7 out of 10. And that's what at this level, that's all you can ask for is consistency. We've had players in the past who unfortunately had a 9 out of 10 one week and a 5 out of 10 the next. And you just can't do that at this level. So he's come in and been Mr. Consistent for me. It's something I've always said with Nika, that he needs runs of games. He's always had a little bit of a spell and then he's been out of the team for a bit. And then there's been points in his Forest career, really, where you're thinking, is he going to get loaned out and sold? Because there was points. I think last season was maybe 4th choice right back at one point. But, he's got this chance at left back and he's took it absolutely brilliantly. So I thought Danny hit the nail on the head on the last part of, there was, some fans who really rated him highly in the first season. Personally, I always thought he gave you 100%, but I didn't see that as much. But, you're just seeing that sheer effort and endeavour now, plus ability as well. And that's something you've got to credit Nuno for, because, consistently Steve Cooper couldn't get that out of him, and Nuno's getting it out of him. So as he is with a lot of players. So, yeah, brilliant. He's been, bit of an unsung hero, I'd say, really, because he just goes about his business pretty quietly, doesn't he? And what I like about Nico is he's tenacious. He doesn't care who's on that right wing against him, because in the Premier League, you're going to have a lot of star players on that right side, as we see with, your Salahs, your Sakas, your Mbuemos. So he's like, I don't care who you are, I'll get stuck into you. And as you said, Adam, in injury time, that's exactly what it is. Got stuck in, made some challenges, what was needed, and got us over the line.
Yeah, definitely. Christian, your new favourite player, as Reece duly photoshopped his face onto Maradona. It's the Geordie Maradona in Elliot Anderson. What did you make of him? Because I thought he was, again, another good performance, to be honest.
Yeah, again, brilliant from Anderson. It's becoming quite a regular occurrence now, isn't it? As I say, like we at the start of the season, obviously, even before you take out the sort of the PSR gymnastics that went with the deal, I think we're at a point now where had we just paid 35 million for Anderson, it would look like a bit of a snip, really. He's playing that well. And yeah, again, very, very pleased when we got that goal. It was an absolutely brilliant strike. I know obviously you can raise questions about whether Ramsdale should be getting it beaten his near post at that range, but we won't worry about that. He hit it brilliantly. He played brilliantly. He always gets himself involved. I think the analogy Reece gave recently about how he's basically the Premier League equivalent of James Garner is very true. We all love Jimmy. So yeah, we're at a point now where even when these guys come back, Danilo and Sangare, for example, we're looking at who's going to be best paired with him rather than who's going to be moving him out of the team. He's become that integral. Yeah, he's been brilliant. He's all action. He's all energy. He played a really, really big part today in not even in score sheet, just in general playing as was winning his tackles, winning his duels, laying his passes off, not doing any the way he's dribbling as well. Yeah, very, very happy with him so far, and long may that continue.
Yeah,
can I just say as well about the other centre mid spot? I thought Dominguez was tremendous.
Dominguez was outstanding today. Outstanding.
He was industrious, wasn't he?
And he says a lot that once Dominguez and Gibbs White left, we lost all control of that game.
Seemed to feel the part of it, yeah. The guy for them who had the shot for the first goal, Ugochukwu, he played well for them as well, I thought. I think Alex,
Chelsea, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Alex hit it spot on. He got tight to Gibbs White and made it difficult, and that's why he probably faded off. Because he's a big guy, and he's only from Chelsea, and another player they've spent money on.
Martin wasn't playing him. It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, big guy.
Why didn't they sack him sooner? Or is it awful manager?
But yeah, I think with Danilo and Sangare, I think this is where I don't want to talk about Yates too harshly because we've won the game at the end of the day. But I know we've had a comment that he wasn't the best, but neither was Jota or Wunyan. Sosa struggled to get into it. But I think this is where Danilo and Sangare kind of leap a little bit above him because of maybe their ability or whatever. But yeah, I don't want to get too much into it because it's all ifs and buts and maybes. They still have to work incredibly hard to even get back on the bench, never mind into the team, because they've been out injured for so long. So, but it's good problems to have, I think, in the future and with the rest of the season to come. I think everyone's going to have to play their part if we're going to get any European football. And Ryan Yates is firmly in that bracket of players. I mean, next week I will not be shocked to see him play against Bournemouth and kind of try and ruffle up Ryan Christie. Although I think Ryan Christie is their bit of their house player. I think
after today I would be after the way he plays. I'm sorry, we can't. I'm just looking at his stats now. Obviously, we don't want to turn this into a dogfight or anything like that. He's the lowest rated player on Who Scored, lowest rated player on our Sofa Score, whatever else. He made 5 passes today, 2 of which were accurate. And if you look at the goal. Well, the second goal, you can probably attribute some blame to him. The one off the line, you definitely can. He just sort of stands and watches it. So you can't start him off the way he played on that cameo. You just can't. If you're going from, as we know now that keeping the Forest shirt is, there's pressure on to keep that shirt. You've got to play well. You've got to keep doing that. You can't reward someone who stunk the gaff out like that with a start next week. I'm sorry, you can't. Look how controlled the midfield look with Domingos. You can't take him out now.
Can I just weigh in on the substitutes? I don't think any of the subs today, bar Morata, and he's probably been a little bit harsh on Sosa, had any sort of impact whatsoever.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yates come on, he got waltzed straight through. I think Jota today, I don't think he was great at all. The thing I keep noticing with Jota is his defensive awareness is so poor. There's always someone that runs behind him, and then he's almost got to either hack him down or drag him back. And that it's always the same area of the pitch, and it's normally anywhere between sort of 10 and 15 yards to the right-hand side of our box, sort of as you're looking at it. It's always that same area, but you never see Olaina doing that. It's never him committing the fouls. It's never Anderson committing the fouls on that side. He's starting to get really frustrating to watch going forward as well, because there was a great opportunity where he's ran to the byline, he's pulled it back for Wood, but he's absolutely blasted it at him into his midriff. I don't know how Wood's controlled it, to be honest, and he's got the shot off, and then Gibbs White's gone to tap it in, but it's been cleared. But again, it's just composure like that I think we're lacking slightly. But I'm not going to be too harsh on sort of bit part players. But yeah, not impressed massively with Jota. Yates today again was. I forgot until he was doing the rounds at full time. I completely forgot he was on the pitch. Southampton Fernandes and Ugachuk were completely just walked through both of our midfielders really. But you could sort of tell the difference because Anderson was making 30-yard sprints, at 98th, 99th minute to try and win the ball back. But yeah, I don't think any of our subs, bar Morato, were extremely productive.
I'd even go further and say that I don't know why he went through at the back so soon. We were in control of the game. We were still making chances. Like I get it if it was 3-2 at that point, and you went, right, okay, we're seeing us out now, Morato on the pitch. There was no real need to change system at that point, I thought. And something else you mentioned, actually, Alex, on the topic of Jota Silva, sorry, Reece, was that shot he had, we was played through. He took an age to get that shot away. He looks like he's underconfident, to be honest. It looks like that since Elanga, because obviously there was all that like clamour, wasn't there, when Elanga was playing poorly, like get Jota Silva on the pitch, and he became a much better player for not playing. And then he obviously did get a little go in the team, didn't really do a lot. Elanga then starts coming off the bench and getting involvements at Villa game, for example, and now it's his shirt to lose. And it just seems to me Jota Silva hasn't taken that very well, because whenever he comes on, we've said before in this pod, Reece, especially, you've mentioned it so many times, you just feel that there's always a cheap, niggly foul he just gives away needlessly, puts us under pressure needlessly when we're in tight situations, seeing out a slender lead, and he just goes and wallops someone for the sake of it. It's just, there's no need for it.
He has cut that out, I've noticed, last few games, and I'll tell you why, because I've had bets on him to be carded, so I know he has cut that out. Look, to me, he's like an impact sub into. I've always felt, and that's why I stuck by Elanga, I've always felt Elanga and Hudson-Odoi are our best two wingers. He's a typical winger. He's going to have peaks and troughs. So that's it on him. I mean, before today, I would have probably brought Yates back in for Dominguez at Bournemouth, but having seen how more Dominguez, I think, played today as well, I'm not taking it away from him. I'd probably stick with what we started with. But Yates is a type of player, to be fair, when he does have a bad game, as he did today when he come on, he comes back stronger, like we said earlier. And if he does play next week, I've got no doubt in my mind, I actually think he'll have a pretty decent game. Or even if he does come on, I don't think he'll let that happen again, because he is a model professional, and let his performances be complacent and actually do what, we're bringing him on for, and that's to be a niggly little, you know the rest.
I'd like to hope that Ramon Sosa is hopefully slowly starting to jump up above Jota Silva, because I think he can do the defensive part of the game. I think he helps Nico Williams out quite a lot on that side, and you can just shift him to the right if that's the case, rather than or Elanga play there as well if you keep Elanga on. So I feel sorry for Sosa, because I think he does work hard, and he's been pretty hard done by. Maybe he lacks a little bit of the quality, but
we can't be too harsh.
We need to remember we did win the game of football.
Yeah,
we are 9 games unbeaten, and
we can't be too harsh on this side. We're bloody joint second on points in the league. There's going to be games where people have off days and people don't do this in certain moments, but you just gotta get behind them, and just enjoy it. As like Rio Ferdinand says, just enjoy it, man.
We are so fickle.
As Reece had said multiple times, that I'm in agreement every time he says it. It's a squad game, so everybody's going to be needed at some point. But today, I thought bringing Jota on for Hudson-Odoi was a bit of a strange one, because I thought the most obvious situation is Jota's had Sosa obviously had the start at Everton. I thought he was good there. Not spectacular, but I thought he was more than good enough to warrant starting that game through emergency circumstances. I thought the easiest thing to do would just be pop Sosa on that left-hand side and just let Elanga just keep going at Walker-Peters and keep on as we did. But the dynamic sort of shifted a little bit because it almost looked like it confused things a bit with Elanga going over to the left and then Jota being on the right. But I thought just swap a left-sided player for a left-sided player and sort of keep it as it is.
I have to say as well, I mean, against Luton, Sosa got a goal and assist in that game. So it seems very strange that Jota Silva's been preferred to him for that situation, and to put Elanga onto the left as well. Where I know obviously he obviously started off the left very well when Cooper was in charge, but he's very much made the right wing his home, especially in recent weeks. He's been blistering down that right hand side. So it seemed very, very strange that Sousa wasn't preferred today. Because again, even when he came on, I know if you're ranking the subs in terms of like tiering, you say Morato at best, Sousa would be second. But yeah, very strange.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's move on. More positivity. 6 games coming probably thick and fast. 7 if you want to include Exeter. Trip to Exeter on a Tuesday night. I don't know how the FA have like cocked that up, but they have. Reece, Bournemouth next week. Tough game. Who got probably the best result of the weekend, I'd say. Going up to Newcastle and stuffing them. I mean, what a hat trick by Justin Kluivert. I mean, I will be talking to Craig from Up the Cherries podcast. So, what do you make of what do you make of that game next week? It's like promotion season vibes almost, because we're both got altitude poisoning, maybe, I think, as Ali McCoy might call it, or whatever it is.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a loving, isn't there, with Bournemouth on Twitter at the minute. So I'm glad you found one of their 2 fans to come on the pod. We'll stoke the rivalry back up for next Saturday. Yeah, their performance was fabulous, and it was such a brilliant game of football to watch. To be honest, 2 really good sides, having a real go. Physical, and Bournemouth were just superb. And we all love St James's Park being stunned into silence, don't we? So, yeah, going to be a very tough game. They're our bogey side as well, aren't they? I just forgot about that. So, yeah, it'll be a tough one, but. We thought Brentford away was going to be tough. We thought at the time when Amarin had come in, Man United away might be a tough one. We've thought plenty of away games this season are going to be really tough, and we've come away with really positive results. So wouldn't surprise me at all if we come away with another positive result down on there if it's not too windy. So yeah, I said after I'd never ever make the trip again, I wrote myself into going. That little shed of a stadium, and but it should be a good game, really. They're a good side, Bournemouth. Really impressive. Got some really good players, similar to us, really. That the media are linking all their better players. Kirkaz and Semenyo, or they've got to go to a Big 6 club, whereas Bournemouth are like us, progressing with a nice little team. So yeah, be an entertaining game, I think. And to be honest, I think it will be a draw, which is, the last 2 seasons, which have been 1-1. That's what I'm going to go for. And ironically, I was doing my little tracker earlier, and the same game week as it is for this weekend's game is the same game week as the 1-1 from Bournemouth last season. So, yeah. But if we can come away there and we've avoided defeat, mate, I think that's a positive result for us, personally.
Yeah, probably in some sort of agreement. Alex, thoughts for Bournemouth next week?
It's not going to be easy, is it? You sort of look at that injury list and go, "Oh, these guys are sort of there for the taking," and then they go and slap 4 at St James's, and you sort of go, right, well, the thing is with Bournemouth, they can put round pegs in round holes, and they've been doing it all season. They're not a silly football side. They're a brilliant side to watch. I've seen them sort of 3 or 4 times on the telly this year. But it's going to be tough, because if we play against Bournemouth like we did for the last half hour today, we'll get beat. But if we play in the first half, if we play against them like we did in the first half, there's a good chance of coming away with 3 points quite comfortably. It's not still Reese's thunder, but yeah, I thought 1-1 for weeks looking at this fixture, and I'm not going to change it. I think 1-1, I'll be okay with a point. Win your own games, don't lose your away games, and you'll end up in a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, Christian, I'm actually just looking at their side, and I mean, they've got 2 absolute horrible central midfielders in Tyler Adams and Ryan Christie partnered together, but they've got so many injuries. I didn't even realise Evan Ilson.
They played Cook at right back yesterday, and he's a centre mid. But they absolutely, the 2 lads at the back absolutely pocketed Isak. He did not get a kick. And to be fair,
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised Lewis playing right back and doing well.
Yeah, the media's banged on about this Newcastle midfield, saying it's the best three in the league. They bossed them yesterday. I'll give them the dues.
Yeah. I mean, Alex Scott injured, Sinetti injured. I mean, I'm going to go through this off with Craig on Tuesday or whenever it is, but I didn't realise it was so injury stricken. Their bench is like literally just filled with kids, and then Daniel Jebberton, who's like one of the worst strikers I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, we digress, Christian.
He's
What
scoring.
do you think about it? He is probably scoring. Yeah, I've obviously jinxed it. Christian, thoughts for Bournemouth, who, again, like Reece said, windy conditions could prevail the game going ahead, but let's hopefully we go to Boscombe, as Alex informed me when I went with him last season. That's where they play. And we started the Matt Sells chant actually there, didn't we, as well, Alex? So yeah, Christian, sorry, I'm taking your thunder.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game, of course. I think that Hodgson they've got. Is that how you pronounce his name at the back? Who looks like an absolute disaster class in transfer dealings from Juventus at the minute for the way he's played this season. But yeah, I've just looked at the home form now. To be fair, it's a bit erratic. If I'm being perfectly honest. Yeah, they've beaten Arsenal, Man City, and Spurs at home, of naturally very good results, but drawn with Palace at home, drawn with West Ham at home, and then a bit sort of needed a late free kick to get anything out of that. After drew with Newcastle at home.
To be fair, mate, everyone's beating Spurs at the minute.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I'm just saying it seems a bit quite up and down, and I think obviously with the injuries they've got as well, if Forest from the first 70 minutes that they turns up, there's a good chance we can get something out of that game. I would actually think it might be a bit more high scoring than 1-1, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think that it could be quite a good one from the neutral, because I think they sort of showed a blueprint to how to beat Newcastle, even with a limited squad, which is very commendable. And a lot of it was counter-attack based. So you could just see like a coiled spring, I heard someone describe them as. You could just see two teams looking to counter each other and it ends up like 5-5 or something ridiculous. But yeah, I take it forward. I think it'd be one of those. It would keep the unbeaten run going. It would, yeah, it'd be a good point to get. I don't want to hear fans giving it the whole, it's only bloody Bournemouth, they're a tiny little club, and sort of paying no real attention to the actual players they've got at their disposal. Kirkes will likely be at Man United next season. Well, if he wants to take a drop in standards anyway. And they've got a lot of good players there. I really like Otara, the winger. He's very, very direct, very good.
He played up front yesterday, him.
Yeah, very, very good player. They just recruit. It's like their recruitment's similar to Brighton's, but it's been better in some ways. Is that they managed to sort of progress further, well, at least for now this season. Whether they finish, they could finish in Europe this season. Bournemouth, they really could. So yeah, it's a very tough game. I take a 1-1 draw now if you offered it to me. But yeah, I would hold out hope that if Forest get their act together, they could win that game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the tale of two really informed sides. Brighton, Bournemouth. They're on 11-game unbeaten run in all competitions, 10 in the Premier League, and drawing 3 in that run, winning 7. So, drawing 4, should I say? Winning 6 in the Premier League, 7 if you count the FA Cup. So 2 really good informed sides. Like we've said, they've got injury worries, and maybe hopefully we can play on that because there'll be fatigue and etc. But Irreola's got them well drilled and well organised, and they go forward extremely well. Clive is probably one of the most informed players in the league, I'd argue, at the moment with how he's going. 2 hat-tricks this season. Yesterday's was the third was an absolute corker. So yeah, I wouldn't be too disappointed with a point there, but it is an opportunity where we can go and impose ourselves, I think, and get a more positive result. So hopefully the demons of Matty Fryatt come back to haunt them in some capacity, because that's, I think, the last time we beat him away. And it's a good game, but yeah, I'd take a 1-1 if someone offered it to me now, or 0-0. Maybe earlier, and Nuno will shake hands on a 0-0 now, and we'll just go off and play Brighton at home instead the following week. But no, thank you, chaps, for joining us. Thank you, everyone in the comments, and everyone who did slept on it thoughts, though they weren't slept on it thoughts. If you've enjoyed it, drop us a like, drop us a subscribe. It's all free, and we'll see you for the I can't get my words today. Get the Bournemouth preview in the week. But until then, come on, your Reds.